Terrorism is a very critical issue that we today in our episode want to discuss about. We've got with us Dr. Bilal Phillips of Canada. He's an Islamic scholar and an author at the same time. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Bilal. We welcome you to our episode, and we want to talk about terrorism. So what can you tell us about terrorism in the first place?
Well, I think that the general attitude in the press, media, which tends to focus on Muslims as being the source of terrorism, it's a distortion really of the truth. But what it represents is a sort of continuation from an ancient myth which had been promoted from the West, with regards to the Muslim world. Islam is a religion of the sword. This is an ancient concept that Islam expanded itself, reached all these various countries. These people are all Muslims because there was this Arab riding in off the desert with a Quran in one hand and a curved sword in the other on his camel, offering either this Quran or you lose your head. This is the image which had been conjured up from ancient times.
And is that really true?
Well, of course, this is totally nonsensical. When you look at the actual teachings of Islam, where Allah says, for example, in the Quran, La ikraha fi din, that there is no compulsion in religion. So, the idea of compelling someone to believe in God and to submit to God is something very foreign from Islam.
Right. So, Islam, the religion of the sword, as the Western society contributes by saying that. So, it's not true.
Not at all, because if we look at the spread of Islam, in fact, the largest Muslim country today is Indonesia, close to 200 million Muslims. And not a single Muslim soldier ever set foot on their shores. Islam spread there through trade. And even if one looks at the biography of the Prophet, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, although he tends to be labeled as this highway robber, this is the image that is conjured up. When he left Mecca, he and his people lay-weighted the caravans of the pagans, the Meccans, and this was his whole program. But no, actually Islam spread most rapidly when the Prophet and his companions, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, entered into a truce known as the Truce of Hudaybiyah with the Meccans. From that point, Islam spread extremely rapidly. So we know Islam itself means peace, and Islam spreads most rapidly in times of peace. If we look, for example, in the United States, where they have estimated that there are close to 500 people accepting Islam daily in America. Is there anybody over there with swords forcing these people to accept Islam?
No, I don't think so, right.
So the spread of Islam, why is Islam spreading at such a rate? Do we have missionaries? Does the Muslim world spend millions and millions of dollars to prepare missionaries to go to America and to spread Islam in that way? No. You will hardly find any missionaries, anybody you can say, how does Islam spread? A person accepts Islam, and that person doesn't feel satisfied or comfortable until he tells his father, his mother, his brother, his sister, his neighbors, people at his work, etc., etc. And through that process of just spreading the word, Islam spreads by itself.
But even though, Dr. Bilal, the Muslims stand steadily ready to defend themselves through attacks and all sorts of stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, Islam is not a religion, a pacifist religion, in the sense that, if you're hit on the right cheek, you turn your left cheek, right? Or you hit on the left, you turn your right, whatever. It's not, Islam encourages people to resist evil. To resist evil, as the Prophet, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, has said. Whoever sees evil should stop it with his hands. And if he cannot, then he speaks out against it. And if he can't, he hates it in his heart. But it says to stop it with his hands, that it is a requirement of the society that it should physically stop that evil, if that is the most effective way of stopping it from harming the society as a whole. So, in defense of human life and property, etc., Islam encourages its members to stand up against evil. One who dies fighting for the sake of the Muslim state, for the sake of God, for protection of the population, etc., he is classified as a martyr, and is promised paradise. But not, some people tend to think, as I've even heard myself, that if a Muslim kills a Christian, he gets paradise. This is again a distorted view, and I've heard people actually express this. This is again a distorted view, and I've heard people actually express
Yes,
this, what we
certainly.
thought. And in fact, the more Christians you kill, the higher in paradise you get. This is totally, out of context. Islam does not promote the killing of other people simply to achieve levels in paradise. This is only, a person fighting in defense of himself, his honor, his family, his faith, etc. If a person loses his life, fights in this way, then God promises him paradise.
So I could conclude from your conversation, what you have just said, Dr. Bilal, is that there are certain ethics, even if a Muslim enters the war. Is that true?
Yeah, a Muslim fighter, what we call mujahid, is not free to do anything. It's not like the ends justify the means, So you can go kill the innocent children and women and destroy, places of worship, etc. This is not permitted.
This is what we call terrorism, right?
This, in fact, is the essence of terrorism, where violence is directed towards innocent people, sections of society which are not involved in any kind of war for political ends. And Islam does not support that at all.
Thank you very much for giving us some of your time. We thank you also for watching and listening to us. Thank you very much.